Most of us spend more time preparing for the life that we want than actually living the life that we want. And so I'm going to read to you about this story of a fisherman and a businessman that I think might help you. So, well, the story goes that a businessman went on vacation to get away from it all, to recharge his batteries, so to speak. He flew to this faraway location and wandered into a small village. Over the course of a few days, he watched the people in the community and noticed there was a fisherman in particular who seemed the happiest and the most content of everyone. The businessman was curious about this, so one day he approached the fisherman and asked him what he did every day. The man replied that he woke up every morning, had breakfast with his wife and children, then his kids would go off to school, he would go fishing, and his wife would paint. He would fish for a few hours, return with enough fish for the family meals, and then he'd take a nap. After dinner, he and his wife would take a walk along the beach and watch the sunset while the kids swam in the ocean. The businessman was stunned. "You do this every day?" he asked. "Most days," replied the fisherman. "Some days we do other things, but for the most part, yes, this is my life." "And every day you can catch fish?" asked the businessman. "Yes," replied the fisherman. "There are many fish." "Can you catch more than just the fish you bring home for your family?" inquired the businessman. The fisherman looked at him, smiled, and replied, "Oh yes, I often catch many more and just let them go. You see, I love fishing." "Well, why don't you fish all day and catch as many as you can?" asked the businessman. "Then you can sell the fish and make lots of money. Pretty soon, you could buy a second boat, then a third boat. The fishermen could catch lots of fish too. In a few years, you could have an office in a major city. As a matter of fact, I bet within 10 years, you could have an international fish distribution business." The fisherman smiled again at the businessman. "Why would I do all that?" "Well, for the money," replied the businessman. "You would do it so that you could get a lot of money and then retire." "And then, what would I do when I'm retired?" asked the fisherman, still smiling. "Well, whatever you want, I suppose," replied the businessman. "For instance, maybe I could eat breakfast with my family." "Yes, I guess so," said the businessman, a little annoyed that the fisherman wasn't more excited about his idea. "And if I wanted to, since I love fishing so much, I could fish a little bit each day," the fisherman continued. "I don't see why not," said the businessman. "There probably won't be as many fish by then, but there should still be some." "Then perhaps I could spend my evenings with my wife, walking along the beach and watching the sunset while our children swim in the ocean?" inquired the fisherman. "Sure, whatever you want, although by then your kids will probably be grown," said the businessman. The fisherman smiled at the other man, shook his hand, and wished him well on his efforts to recharge. Mike finished the story and looked at me. "What do you think, John?" John says, "I think I'm a little bit like the businessman. I spend most of my time working so that I'll have enough money to retire." This is not to say that you don't need to look ahead and be prepared to retire, but this is a question of what are you doing in your life? What are you striving for? And are you actually living a good life now, or are you trying to put it off until later? And are you aspiring to do things that aren't necessary?